Okay, so today I am speaking to Andrea Montanari, and he is a creative leader, a brand designer, and a coach. And he's worked at some companies that you've probably heard of. He's worked with the Telegraph. He's worked at the dating app called Bumble. And today we're going to be talking about this idea of burnout. And the concept of this call came about when we realized that we're both kind of working on these things separately. And it would be interesting to kind of compare notes and have a chat about that and share it with all you guys. So welcome, Andrea. And I think a good place to start is like what interests you in this area? What made you want to work on this?
Hi, thank you for having me on, first of all. I am a middle-aged graphic designer going through a bit of a middle-aged shift in my life. I had a son, I became a father a few years ago. I've decided to go back to freelancing. I've kind of reorganized my life around this new role that was given to me. And of course, it hasn't been easy going through all this change with COVID, my son, some challenging times I had with work, where I was working at the time. It really took a toll on me. I think the phase of the life I was going through, the situation, the circumstances, everything combined created a bit of a heavy load for me to carry for some time. And it just happened that I kind of came out at the end of this tunnel. And looking back, I thought, okay, well, I've learned things about myself. I learned things about my industry. Maybe there's something useful here for other people going through a similar journey. And then, of course, the big breakthrough was joining Paradiso Institute, which you're also part of. And that's how we met, which is a group of coaches, former creatives or even current creatives trying to make a difference in the creative industry, giving creatives and designers more power, more agency, more awareness. And so basically the whole thing just kind of grew almost organically from my own personal situation through the decision to become a coach, joining Paradiso Institute, meeting other coaches, looking back at my own experience the last few years. And I thought, yeah, maybe this could be valuable. And I think there's a big need in the industry for this kind of support. So I thought, why not? And because I know you are an expert in the field and you've been working on this for a few years, I really wanted to, since I'm writing this course for creatives facing burnout, I really wanted to, like you said, compare notes and bounce ideas off you and see if I can, gain even more clarity and more focus for my course.
It's very, very generous of you. I don't know if I would call myself an expert, but I mean, I had a similar kind of experience to you. I might say COVID was a catalyst. Spending a lot of time at home and then just feeling burnt out myself, really. I mean, we're both kind of middle-aged as well. So, I mean, is there do you separate in this your mind? Like, it used to be called middle-aged, like midlife crisis, or we've got other terms that used to be more popular. Like, I remember when I was a kid, people used to talk about like nervous breakdown, like, oh, he's having a nervous breakdown, and that's a term you just never hear anymore. But this term burnout, has become like really common, overused. People use it like, oh yeah, no, I'm just feeling burnt out. Like it's almost a throwaway thing. Next week I'll be fine as well.
Yes, yes. Yeah, maybe we could talk about that, because burnout is not just feeling a bit stressed. It's not just feeling tired. Oh, I'm really tired this week. I'm very feeling overwhelmed, and I'm stressed, and I'm tired, and it's something a bit deeper. Um, it's something a bit deeper that really affects your view of yourself, your view of the world around you, your interactions with people working and living around you. So it goes quite deep. And it's usually not something that you solve in a couple of weeks. Usually takes a bit longer. I mean, depending on how severe, there are different stages, of course. I think 12, according to my research. 12 stages of burnout. So you can go from, feeling a bit drained emotionally and feeling a bit lost, to all the way to not being able to eat by yourself, leave your flat, leave your bed. It can go to that level of severity where you really have to be hospitalized, because you can't take care of yourself anymore. You can't do the most basic things. Burnout is now more popular term. Used to be nervous breakdown. I think maybe a nervous breakdown is something that could happen at any time in your life, not necessarily when you are in your 30s, 40s. I think there is this phase. I think it's still very much, it hits different people at different times, of course. We say that in Italy, for example, adolescence is extended to 35, because people, like young people, they still live with their parents because they cannot afford to live by themselves, and therefore adolescence is kind of extended. I think I had my development was delayed in a way, part because I'm Italian, and second because at 31 I moved to the UK without job, without nothing really lined up. So I basically had to start my career almost from scratch. And that, of course, took a bit of time, a bit of adjustment. But yeah, I think it hits people when they get to a point where they've done a few things in life, maybe started a family, maybe achieved some professional success. But there's something not quite right. There's something off. You are maybe praised by your colleagues. You are, on the surface, everything looks great. You have a nice family, maybe a nice house, very good job, maybe a good salary. Children, wife, and everything seems great on the surface, but there's something underneath that is not as it, you're not feeling the joy, you're not feeling fulfilled, you're not feeling that you belong or you're in the right place. There's something just that you can't sometimes quite identify, but it's not right. And you feel you need to do something about it. Some people just ignore the signals the body is sending them. When you are in this kind of hustle mode, it's really easy to go numb, to disconnect from your body and just follow what the brain is telling you, what society is telling you, what your colleagues are telling you, what your friends are telling you, and you can lose track of yourself. it might be a great situation on the surface, but if you're not feeling whole within the situation, then there's probably something you should address. This was my experience, at least. What was yours?
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that. It's like there's different kinds of burnout, like you say, and it can be, which you hinted at, is situational. Like maybe you're in an environment or a job that it's not fulfilling you, or it's a negative environment that doesn't encourage growth or something. I mean, that's one thing. But if you're like self-employed, and I think like a lot of creatives are nowadays, you've only got yourself to blame. Like, it was like, I kind of lost my way a little bit. I'd gone from freelance to trying to build my own business. And it was going well in COVID because obviously everyone was spending money online. So, business was growing, income was good and all that. And then, I don't know, I just, and then the end of COVID and that money dried up, obviously. There was a bit like a contraction in the creative industry. Everything that people were spending online on the videos and the marketing and stuff, it was like, now we're not going to spend that. So there's a bit of a tough period for, I think, a lot of creatives felt that. And then I kind of lost my way. I was like, is this what I even want to do? It's not going as I'd expected. I think that's another key element of kind of burnout, is when your expectations don't align with reality.
Yeah.
And then, you start looking a little bit deeper. Like, is this what I want to do? Like, it's that uneasiness, isn't it? That something's not quite right.
Yeah.
I mean, and then it's how deep do you want to go down that rabbit hole?
Yeah. Yes. Yes, it takes a bit of courage and generosity. But I think it's, I mean, for some people, it's just, it's a matter of survival. So they can't literally, like they find themselves so stuck and so unhappy that they, anything would be better than this. And so you have the motivation and the drive to look for solutions, to look for answers. But sometimes it doesn't even come to that. Sometimes you just go along, you just push it through, you just procrastinate, you just you deny it, and until it comes back even harder and deeper. I don't know. I think that having a genuine, I mean, I think it's something you want to do regularly, checking on your life, looking back, trying to join the dots and see, am I in the right place? Am I on the right path? Am I in the right direction? Is this right for me? This is really something that you should do regularly. But having one big check-in when you are, in your, let's say, halfway through your career, okay? Whenever that started, halfway through your career, good time to, sit down and have a proper reflection on how you did, how you feel, what are the next steps, what's the direction? Is the direction still right for me? Do I need to make some adjustments? And I think it's healthy. And it's, it's, there's nothing wrong with it. I think looking for the answers, knowing where to look for the answers is the most important thing, because if you feel something is off, but you keep looking for answers outside, in the industry, in the media, then in trouble, I think.
Yeah, I think we can go down that avenue, but it might be interesting to start the conversation like around, you mentioned this scale of like sliding into burnout, and that's what I think it's like starts very mild, and then you're on a downward slope, and if you don't course correct, then you know it can get very deep kind of depression,
Yeah.
um and
Yeah.
then it's really difficult to separate from depression and not like workplace burnout, which is what we're really talking about. But what do you think are like the early signs of burnout?
Well, it's the body doing the talking usually. You will, you can experience it in different ways, but as I said before, this sense of, well, you are not just physically tired, you are emotionally tired. You are very you are grouchy, you get easily irritated, you're like your fuse gets shorter and shorter basically, and maybe you feel guilty about having these kind of reactions and outbursts towards the people working or living around you. And but I think, yeah, the body is always the biggest, the most important tool that we have to, the most important compass, let's say, that tells us when we are on the right path and when we are not. Symptoms might vary. I was constantly tired and constantly upset, like grumpy, most of the time, stressed. I anything would light me up, and in a way, it was great because I think that was also a big release for me. I've spent, the first half of my life often bottling up, keeping things inside, avoiding sometimes confrontation, avoiding, sometimes not addressing important things for me, not setting my boundaries properly, letting people sometimes maybe take advantage of me, and so having that kind of release of anger, release of stress, in a way was also very good for me. It wasn't very good for the people living around me, but luckily my partner was very understanding and very supportive, and we came out the other way. I don't know if that answered the question. Or
Yeah, like it's interesting that you almost imply that it's like a necessary evil, like it's a
yes,
I
I
mean,
think so.
yeah, I mean it does lead to growth. It's this you can only ignore it for so long, and then you realize, oh, I'm gonna have to address this. So it is kind of like a metamorphosis.
Yes, change of skin. Although, I mean, I do believe some people just push through and keep denying and ignoring until late in life. They take medications. They really fail to see the opportunity because they are so attached to their life as they build it, that they just they don't want to let it go. They're afraid of what might become of them, of what might become of their life. And so I think it does take to be a little bit in touch with yourself, be able to read the signals your body is sending you, and also to be, I think, psychologically open mentally open to a different landscape, to a different situation, because if you're not allow yourself to discover something new and learn something new about yourself, about your life, you're just not gonna just not gonna take that step. It's not easy. It takes courage, as I said, and generosity.
Yeah, I think you touch on something, especially for creatives. It becomes more than a job; it becomes an identity.
Yes.
So the problem is when your feet start feeling burnout and you're not enjoying the work anymore, or you're not as productive, and then the physical symptoms start coming in, less sleep, all the stress related stuff. But it's difficult. You have to you have to be willing to challenge your identity. It's like, okay, if I'm not a creative, what am I? And sometimes that's the wrong question, I think. But that's probably where you should start. Like, am I actually willing to question my identity? What if I did do something else? And I'm not saying that burnout is the body telling you that you need to stop working in the creative industry. I don't think it is. But it is telling you something's wrong.
Yes. No, I think you made a very important point. And maybe we can start talking a little bit more specifically about the course, maybe, and compare notes like we said before. Yeah, I do think there are two demons, let's call them demons, for lack of a better word, creatives are facing all the time. One is an inner demon, which is their own perfectionism, their own, like you said, considering the work that you do an extension of yourself, identifying with your work, identifying with the output, not being able to have that kind of healthy, I think, separation between what you create and deliver in the world and who you are here at the core. Okay. For creatives, this is a very difficult step because we take a lot of pride in what we do. Creativity is something, it's a process that involves using many different sides of yourself. It can be very personal. It can be very challenging, like in a profound, I think, way. And it's really hard to separate, like we said. So you always want to, improve it. You always want to work a bit longer. You always, you don't mind staying up longer, working longer hours, going the extra mile, in order to produce something that you feel happy with. So this is the first problem. But I also think there's an outer demon, which is the creative industry itself, because there's a lot of pressure coming from the industry on creatives and designers to have this kind of very assertive, proactive, strong approach mentality. One of the mantras of the industry is, you're only as good as your last job. What you did 6 months ago, 1 year ago, doesn't matter anymore. What did you do? What you did last month is what counts. Is the only thing that matters. We want fresh stuff. We want portfolios with new stuff. We want to know what you're doing right now. What you did 5 years ago, it's ancient history. It doesn't count anymore. So you're constantly pushed to be riding the wave, always, always on the attack mode. Basically, you have to find, great jobs, great projects, good clients. You have to constantly be, work on your portfolio, working on your personal brand, networking. There's so much that is expected from us that can be really overwhelming. And And I think, I guess, this is also the point of something like Paradiso Institute, to teach designers and creatives that there's much more to it. The picture is much bigger, and you need to kind of be able to expand your vision, and without being so focused on your work, on your output all the time, because it's exhausting. So it's really hard to juggle these two different forces that put pressure on us from the inside and from the outside. And this is basically the basic premise of the course I'm writing.
I think it's interesting. It's an interesting way to look at it. I personally look at it like, I think I'm quite logical, quite black and white, maybe to my own detriment.
Yeah, there are pros and cons.
Yeah. I like to define things simply. Like, I think if you can define things simply, then it helps people to understand them. When you get into the complexities of things, you're moving more into an expert area, and burnt out people are kind of limited because it's essentially prolonged stress. So I see burnout is prolonged stress, and if burnout is specifically work related. So, that's maybe where the old labels of nervous breakdown and things fall away. But burnout's not kind of like clearly defined, it's not a broken arm. You can't say that person has burnout. Like, they overlap with kind of areas of depression and other areas of your life. If it's prolonged stress, but it's affecting your work performance, it could come from many different areas of life. But so I think like there's many different ways you can get into burnout, and you've labeled them like specifically for creatives, and I think that's useful. But I think there's like 100 different ways, like some people burn out at the age of 21, like, it's different situations, different people. But then it's how do you then recover from it? And yeah, I'd like to hear what your thoughts on that are.
I think the way I'm structuring this course is in 3 sections. Phase 1 is awareness. So getting to an understanding of how we got here, both on an intellectual level. So, looking back, reflecting, observing, writing down things, notes, maybe looking at the trade-offs. So in order to achieve this, I had to sacrifice this. Could be useful, for people to kind of write it down, or something similar, so on an intellectual level, but also on a physical level, which is probably even the most important, I would say. And there are many things you can do to reconnect to your body. You can do manual labor, you can walk in nature, you can meditation is a great way to reconnect to your body if it works for you. Breath work, sport, gym, journaling, which is also a form of meditation. I've tried a few of these. I found meditation really helpful when I was completely lost and disconnected. I'm now writing 3 pages of notes every morning, every day, let's say. And I find that to be also very useful to kind of clear your mind and put stuff on a piece of paper. You don't have to read it back. You don't have to polish it. You just write it down. And if you write it down, it's not in your mind anymore. It doesn't control you anymore. There are other things. So phase 1, awareness. Phase 2, excavation, which is sort of, let's see what's under the surface, under the professional identity, the professional persona that we created, what's left alive underneath, what else is there beyond the role, beyond the profession, beyond the achievements, what else is there? And here, I would just look back at your life, basically, and trying to join the dots and understand a bit more what kind of values drove you where you are, if there's something that you need to change, to address. Looking at my notes, how to cope with noise is also a very important thing, because as I said, there's lots of noise around us, not just in the industry, but in the Western world where we live in. And it's really important to manage it, because it can really take over if you're not careful enough. You were going to say something?
I was just going to clarify if you meant like, physical noise, or
noise meaning whatever is going on around you and conversations people have. I'm talking about the media, I'm talking about the industry, I'm talking about, anything that in a way informs our opinions on who we are and what we are doing and the world and about the world we live in. And then, oh yes, there's this I'm not a big fan of Steve Jobs, he's sometimes over quoted, but I think there's this interesting bit of this famous address he did. I don't remember for which university. It was like addressing the graduates for this university, and he said at some point, you can only join the dots backwards. You can't join the dots forward. So you go through life, you don't really understand why things are happening to you, but then at some point you look back and you are able to kind of see, oh, that happened because I had to go through this, I had to go through that, I had to learn this, I had to learn that. And you can kind of see why all these things happen in your life to create the person you are today. But you can only do this exercise backwards. You can't do it forward. And he said, but at the same time, you need to believe that these dots will connect in the future. So that things that happen to you in life don't happen by chance. There is some sort of, there is a meaning that is not always apparent, especially when we're going through it. But it becomes apparent when you look back at it. And this concept of the unlived life, that what you could have become, it's something I think is also interesting to look at. I don't know, maybe like you said, burnout people are just too tired to go through a number of different sessions and exercises. So I need to simplify it a little bit. But this is the structure it has right now. And then there's the last phase, which is, it's called integration, where you move from insight to action, and you basically go from who you were to the person that you want to become. Okay. The important premise I'm gonna do now is that this course does not have the ambition of healing people going through burnout. This is not going to happen, not in 8 sessions, not with group coaching. It's just not going to happen. I would be very happy if this gave people a bit more awareness of their situation, maybe of what they've been through, because I also think that people going through burnout in a severe state of burnout would probably not join a course about burnout. I don't know, maybe not. This is more for people who are either starting to sense something is wrong, or for people who have been through burnout and maybe want to look back at it and make sense of it, and maybe redesign, find that like a new path, a new self that they like and they want to carry on moving forward with their lives. So I don't think someone who's going through a severe case of burnout would be in a position mentally to join a course with other people. I don't know. I guess I'll see. But yes, so the final stage is integration. So from insight to action. There are lots of things. A big source of inspiration for this course came from a book titled The Artist's Way. Are you familiar with it?
Yeah, I've heard of it. Refresh my memory though.
So it was written by this, I think Wilkinson is the surname. Anyway, she was a screenwriter. She was writing screenplays for movies. She was so shortly, for like a short time, she was married with Martin Scorsese, the director. And she was going through a difficult phase of her life, probably a burnout. A couple of big projects she was working on failed, didn't turn into films. So she basically isolated herself for many months, and just instinctively started to feel that she needed to do things. Her body was sending her signals like, why don't you start writing down? She felt like the urge of writing down things. She felt the urge of doing a number of different exercises. She felt better after doing all these exercises. These exercises turned into a course. And after many years of running this course turned into a book that is a book now sold worldwide, translated in don't know how many languages. And I think she's now in her late 70s, still, working with people, with groups. And the book is basically her course. It's like a 12-week course. Every week you're going through a different aspect: identity, safety, and other things related to the self. And at the end of this teaching session, there are a number of exercises that you can do to work on that specific area of yourself. And the book is designed to help creatives who have kind of lost their way to regain confidence and juice and mojo and inspiration and vision and direction. But she also, and this is why the book was so successful, because the book is also about finding the creative that it's within yourself, even if you're an accountant. Because the assumption is that we are all creative. All of us have creativity inside of us. Some people are more aware of it. Some people are less aware of it. Some people use it more. Some people use it less. but we all have it. And it's a source, and it's basically, the book is about connecting to this kind of well that we have inside, and replenish it. And this is good for creatives, but it's good for everyone who wants to turn their life in a design project, in a work of art. And there, as I said, there are many exercises in this book, things you can do by yourself to help you reconnect to this inner creative self, younger self, at the time of your life where there was no career, there was no nothing. You were just exploring the world, discovering things, trying things out, testing things, testing yourself, figuring things out, which is basically what creativity is about. So this is also part of the last phase. And then, it's also about redesign the container. So you basically redesign your life, how it should be, how you would like it to be, a sustainable creative life that you can design for yourself, and that can become the new template for your life. And then it's at the end we close the session, the course with a final session on the North Star. So you basically write a personal vision statement, which is who you are, what you're about, and your direction moving forward.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of similarities in the way that we think about it.
That's good.
I would say that, yeah, it's positive. Positive reinforcement. Yeah, I mean, the course that I've been building is based on a couple of books that I've read as well. One of them's kind of this dose project. I don't know if it's to hand. We can see it up here. It's like one of these books on the shelf anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of what you started off talking about, is like how these physical interventions, you spoke about meditation, journaling, like, so this book is really about, like, the dose stands for dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. So it's basically, the guy that wrote it is a neuroscientist, and he's helping people like improve their life through taking actions that you can boost your naturally occurring chemicals. Like, if you're feeling down and burnt out, like, we all really know what we should do, and that's where my course starts, and it starts from my own personal experience. I was feeling burnt out, and it's like, yeah, you know what to do. Well, fucking do it then. Come on. So the thing that I'm building starts with those. Like, I'm going to encourage you to do like mindfulness meditations.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really helps kind of break that cycle of anxiety in your body. You've still got the same ambitions you had before, but you're not physically capable or able to do them. So that can cause a lot of anxiety. And some of this, particularly, I'm recommending people try this mindfulness meditation, is just being aware of your body and the deep breathing. The physiological changes are the kickstart that helps you get into the deeper work. Like, you didn't get burnt out because you weren't taking a walk in the morning to get some sunlight. That's not the cause of burnout, but it can be the catalyst to start your recovery. And that's kind of what I focus on for the first couple of weeks. There's another thing I do. There's another way that I look at the world that might be a little bit weird, and I think it can, like my own insecurity is that it can seem less genuine. but I look for things in popular culture, like this book, Dose. It's kind of appeared in my algorithms, and people were like enjoying it, and that's a signal for me. There's something in there that people do like. And there's another book called Tiny Experiments, and again, she was actually another neuroscientist, and she encourages people to take, do really tiny experiments and see how it works for them.
Yeah.
See if they actually enjoy it. And I encourage people to start this course with a dopamine detox. And again, that's another thing that was just popular, and it's the wrong. It's factually wrong. You can't detox from dopamine. It's in your body. You shouldn't even want to, but there's something in it. People enjoy it, and to link it back to what you were saying about these inner demons and outer demons, I think social media is like the outer demon, the thing that controls our, thinking, shapes the way that, we think we should behave, instead of the more internal work which we should be doing.
Yeah.
So that's where my course begins. I encourage people to do that, and it's based on a lot of like neuroscience and research and dopamine, but it can sound a bit wanky. I want you to.
No, if that's your angle, I think that's absolutely fine. If it's what resonates with you, where you feel more drawn, where you feel like the draw is for you, that's absolutely fine. I think it's great, actually. There's lots of chemical reactions, of course, going on. And that can be a great lens, a great starting point to organize the course that way. Absolutely. I'm a bit less interested in the biological aspect of it, and more like the practical kind of everyday, more like, in a way, I don't know, common sense sort of approach. But yeah, no, I think it's a great angle. And also it gives it more, in a way, it gives it more gravitas, because you're talking about science. You're not just talking about opinions and ideas.
Yeah, I think when it comes down to coaching, basically you pick a coach and it's personality based at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I think if you see a way of thinking in a coach and you think, oh yeah, I relate to that. And there's just there's 1,000 ways to achieve the same goal. And one's not necessarily right or wrong. But the way I think of it when you come to coaching is that you resonate with something in their personality, or the way they speak, or the kind of way they organize information. Because I think essentially we're both talking about the same thing, and the same patterns, and the answer's the same. It's like you need to do some internal work. You need to realign
that's the bottom line. Yes.
Your values. That's the point that we need to get there. And how we get to that point is different exercises and different triggers, and helping people to think about it in a different way, where they've probably become stuck. Because that's another thing about burnout. You tend to get stuck.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, I think there are different ways to get to the same results, and there's no right or wrong. And we're basically talking about the same thing. There's something else I wanted to add, which is eluding me right now.
Let me ask you about, because I
Oh
think,
yes, yeah. Sorry.
no, go ahead.
Sorry. I also wanted to say that I've kind of created a structure, but I'm well aware that when you're coaching a group of people, you can't control 100% control where the conversation is going, how people respond to it. So this is just a general idea that will be adjusted and changed and transformed as I go through the process. Because yes, you roughly know where you're starting from and you roughly know where you want to end up. But whatever happens here in the middle it really depends, because coaching is not teaching. I'm not going to make a class on burnout. I really want to work with people, so I will work with whatever they throw at me, really, which means session 1 might become session 2, session 3 might become session, or maybe the structure is going to change completely. I don't know.
Yeah, it should be an evolution. I think anything you build is an evolution. You should improve it and get feedback, and hopefully, like in 2 years, you want to be not doing it the same way. If you're doing it the same way, maybe you hit that one thing that was perfect first time. I doubt it.
If you're doing it the same way, you're not listening. Perhaps that's more.
Yeah,
that's the answer, I think. Yeah,
I think the core element of burnout is this, like, as you frame it, kind of excavation, the deep dive into your own psyche, your own values, your own things like that. Do you have any at the moment? Do you have any specific exercises, or how are you thinking about helping people work through that?
Going back to the artist way, she is giving specific exercises for all these different areas that she talks about in the book. But she says 2 things you need to do throughout the course. One is morning pages, she called them, which is basically journaling. 3 pages every day. Just fill them up. Even if you've got nothing to say, just write, I've got nothing to say. I've got nothing to say for 3 pages. Do it religiously, never skip, do it always. And the other thing, and that should be a way to kind of make problems come to the surface. Because when you write without really writing to someone or about something, you get into a sort of a trance where you just write and it's your mind on the page. So if there's something bothering you, it will come to the surface through journaling. If there are problems, things that bother you, you will start seeing it, because it's almost like you ask the question and the hand, and your own hand, will write the answer. That's kind of the dynamic. So she says morning pages, religiously 3 pages every day, but she also says artist date. The artist date is basically a date. You take yourself on a date, a date with yourself. Every week, you take yourself on a date for a couple of hours where you do something that appeals to you, that makes you feel excited, interested, groovy. It could be, I don't know, I always wanted to go on the top of, I don't know, the Gherkin, the skyscraper. Or I wanted to visit that new area of the city I've never been before. Or I really want to try that restaurant that I've been thinking for a while. Or even something like I want to see the end of the Piccadilly line, the underground tube. I want to see what it looks like at the end of the Piccadilly line. Something silly like that. She says, don't do something useful or don't do something that you should be doing, or don't do something that is educational, that is going to enrich you somehow, that's going to be helpful for your work. No, think fun, think stupid, think silly, do something completely silly. Just follow your own inner voice. Follow the voice, do something silly, take yourself on a date for a couple of hours. This is just your time. Don't bring friends, don't bring partners, no children. On your own, a couple of hours every week. And that's where you start healing, basically, because you start reconnecting to that kind of well, like I said before, that source of ideas, inspiration, vision, excitement that you kind of shut because you've broken the bridge between the mind and the body. So you need to rebuild that bridge. And taking yourself on a date is a good, not once, regularly, is a good way to do that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've read this book actually. Yeah, I have something similar. Like I encourage people to go out and meet other people.
Yeah.
Just at least once a week. I mean, depends if you're going to an office, you're doing that anyway. But
but like people they know, or people like strangers?
Like strangers, put yourself in a face-to-face
situation.
Yeah, like go out and do some networking, do a class that you never wanted to do. It's essentially
that's great.
The same thing, but
yes,
I think we all need that. Like you can link it back to like serotonin and things like that. You get free boosts from interacting with people. Even introverts still need to get out of their comfort zone, and especially for creatives, like I think you just make so many new connections. Like you just need that. We're naturally creative. You're working in the creative industry. You just need that little speck in the petri dish that grows into something that you're never expecting. And burnout can take that away from people as they kind of like reduce back in and less energy and things like that.
Yes. Yeah, putting yourself in new situations really helps expanding your vision, and it becomes easier to see yourself from the outside instead of feeling completely guarded and withdrawn and stuck in this little cave. You try to go out and connect with yourself or with others, and sometimes it's both. But yeah, I think that's especially because maybe some people will do something, but they'll probably do it with an end goal, with a purpose, with an agenda. There should be no agenda. You just spend time with yourself to enjoy your own company and do something you've never done before that you always wanted to do. For no reason, for no specific reason, for no payoff, for no benefit. There's nothing. You just do it.
Yeah.
You take it off your list. That's it. You're not going to make a podcast about it. You're not going to make a project about it. You're not going to make a post on LinkedIn about it. You just do it for yourself, for your own pleasure.
Yeah. What do you think a healthier creative life would look like? This sounds like one element of that. You've talked about inner demons, outer demons. What's a healthy creative life look like?
Yes. Well, I think I know what a healthy creative life looks like for me. But I know I'm not. I know there's not only one way to look at this. I realized I was much happier and more effective as a designer Oh, sorry. This, by the way, this noise in the background that you might hear, there's some there's someone working in the other room, drilling and doing things. So nothing to be worried about. I realized I was happier and more effective as a creative when I started separating myself from my work. When I started looking at my portfolio as a mirror. Okay, this is who I am, and I don't like it because I've never met a designer or a creative who's happy with their portfolio. I don't think it exists in the world. And that's also, I mean, there's also something healthy about that because you are constantly pushed towards like improving yourself, working on yourself, looking for new ways, exploring new things. So there's a healthy element into that, but it can be really unhealthy and toxic when it becomes who you are, and your whole life depends on how good your portfolio is, or how well the last project you worked on went, or things over which you have no control, or at least not 100%. You can't make your self-worth depend on things you have no control over. I think this is not just illogical, it's also really dangerous, really, really dangerous. You're putting too much pressure on yourself. You're not being kind to yourself, which at the end of the day, if we want to sum it up in one sentence, creating a course for creatives facing burnout, be kind to yourself. If we want to sum it up in one sentence, it's probably be kind to yourself. And to me, that's what a healthy, sustainable creative life would look like. Have fun, because having fun is very important, but also be kind to yourself. Don't beat yourself up if that project didn't go as you wanted, as you expected, if your portfolio doesn't look the same way as your colleague who's posting on LinkedIn, because of course other people's portfolios are always better than our own. Comparison is such a big trap in our industry, especially. I mean, in life in general, and social media is designed for that, but in our industry in particular, because I think people are constantly, looking at what other people are doing, and everything looks great from the outside. Everything shines on the surface. Gold everywhere, gold everywhere. Oh, that guy, oh, he worked in that agency. Oh, look at that. Look at that guy with that lovely project on his portfolio. There's always outside, there's always, and then sometimes you get a bit closer. You have the opportunity to meet these people, or to actually work for these companies that you worship, and you realize, yes, there are talented people, there are not so talented people, there are good things, there are bad things, there are sometimes very stupid, silly, internal fights and politics like everywhere else, and it's not, there is no heaven, there is no, there is no gold. It's all, good and bad, and, it's much more layered than that. And now I've lost myself. I don't remember where we started with this. But,
I was no, we were summarizing your wisdom on a creative life, and I think that's
yes, be kind to yourself. Sustainable creative life. Yes, you're much bigger than your job. You're much bigger than your work. You're not your portfolio, for God's sake, or your CV, or you're not the agencies you worked for, or the clients you work with. You're not. You're much more than that. Those were like frames, stills, of your journey, moments, sometimes happy moments, sometimes not so happy. Maybe you've learned something from them, but they don't define you forever, because you are this constantly evolving thing, this constantly changing creature, that it's really hard to pinpoint. I mean, of course, we have tendencies, we have habits, we have history, backgrounds, but we're not one thing. We're not, you know, I don't think we are, luckily, because we're constantly changing and constantly evolving. And that's why I think this, for me, was the biggest achievement, like being able to kind of separate myself. I was never, to be honest, I was never seeking for industry approval. I think I guess I felt at some level inside that that's not what I really wanted to go for. I just wanted to do a good job, make my clients happy, work well with my colleagues. That was my motivation. But understanding that I'm not my work, that my work is separate from me, that the outcome of a project, it's not just on me. It depends on the relationship with the client, on the context, on a variety of different factors. I think really helps you not to push too much pressure on yourself, put things in perspective, look at the bigger picture, and and be a bit kinder to yourself. Give yourself some slack. Don't be too hard.
It's good wisdom. A lot harder to do than it sounds, though.
Yes.
I think that's what I like about. Sorry, but what I like about Paradiso and this whole thing that Hector was building, and the first Paradiso festival that they built, like they did all these shows and they didn't want people to come on stage and show their portfolio. They were actually banned from using slideshows, and it was, I think the goal of it is to have more honest conversations in the creative industry,
Yes.
rather than these external awards and things like that.
Yes. And that's what I like probably the most about coaching. I enjoy working with the person beyond the role, the person behind the role. I'm not interested in roles and projects. I'm interested in the person. And what's amazing is that when you remove all the awards, all the glitter, and you scratch the surface, at the very core, we all more or less operate in the same way, and we all need the same things. One of the things I would like to mention in the course is, are you familiar with the 5 top regrets of the dying people?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's something like, none of them are going to be, I wish I spent more time at work now. What are they?
It was an article. I haven't read the book yet. It's on my list, but I read this article on The Guardian once, and I was one of those moments where, so this palliative nurse working with, with terminal patients, people who are about to die. And she started, collecting notes about their top regrets on their deathbed. And the most amazing thing is when you're about to die, you are completely honest about your life and about yourself. There's nothing holding you back. You're not saving words or thoughts for the future. You're going very soon, so you can be completely transparent, completely honest, and completely open. And she realized, talking to these people, that there were patterns going across age, social status, ethnicity, religion. There were patterns, like people more or less we're regretting the same, more or less the same things. I think number one is I wish I lived a life truer to myself and not the life others expected of me. That's the number one, I think. I'm not sure on the order of the others, but I think the second one is I wish I didn't work so hard. I wish I stayed in touch with my friends. I'm paraphrasing here, but this is more or less. And I think, I think the number 5 I remember was, I wish I let myself be happier instead of always stressing about things, always worrying about everything, always, at the end of the day, happiness is a choice, is a lens through which you decide to look at your life and the reality around you. And I thought, oh my God, that was so powerful, because looking at what the dying people are regretting, that basically gives you the key on how to live a good life, because you don't want to find yourself in that place, regretting when you're about to die about the life you could have had or the things you could have done and you didn't do. And that for me was so insightful. So I'm doing my best with the tools I have, with the information I have, with the knowledge I have, to work towards that goal. Living a life that feels true to me, that feels like the life I want for myself, without all this bullshit flying around, affecting my judgment.
That is the ultimate goal, to live a life with no regrets, live a happy life with no regrets, and one that wasn't shaped by other people's expectations of you, but being true to yourself.
Or sometimes from your own expectations, because, and this applies maybe to creatives more than other categories, we sometimes have unrealistic expectations for ourselves. And yes, I will concede that in some cases, those unrealistic expectations lead to amazing results. But it's always, for me at least, it's always important to look at the trade-off, what you had to sacrifice in order to achieve that. And sometimes you would say it was worth it. For me, working on that project, where I basically didn't sleep for a year, it was worth it, because I'm so proud with what came out from it. And it made such a big difference in not only in my life, but in the life of all the people working on it, whatever, You might have your own reasons. And you are, if it works for you, great, do it. But do it intentionally. Do it knowing that you're doing it. Don't do it because the industry wants you to do it. Don't do it because recruiters want you to do it. Don't do it because your colleagues want you to do it. Don't do it because you want to progress, become a creative director, become an executive creative director, or whatever it might be. Do it because it's a conscious choice that you make. Yes, I'm going to make myself and my life miserable for a year because I want to achieve something at the end of this. And I do it by design. I do it intentionally. And that's great. That's what you want, by all means. But I don't think work, I found myself in the past where I felt like I needed to prove myself, and I worked really hard, night and day, went above and beyond. And yes, I'm happy with what came out from it, but, and I've learned a lot from it. But I would say the number one thing I've learned is that I don't want to do it again.
Yeah. I think the deeper truth there is that like it's this balance between ambition and achievement, and that's fine. But the underlying truth is that you need to realize that there's no achievement that's going to bring you happiness. Happiness from achievements are short lived. I mean, you can classify it, and people have studied this. It's 5 weeks maximum. Any goal you achieve, you will feel great for 5 weeks, and
Then you
that's
need something else.
yeah. I mean, and then it comes back to it. So if you're making the sacrifice, maybe it's worth it. And the way that I make sense of this is, to be happy as a human, you need growth. So the goals that you set and you strive towards are that's the whole thing. It's not the actual end result, because that will make you feel happy for a short amount of time. But if you can get to a place where you're setting goals and you're growing, that's more sustainable. You have to kind of like logically realize that it's so cliche. It's the journey, not the destination.
Yeah, it's a cliche, but it's so true. It's also very true, and we often forget it and don't follow that very basic principle. But it's so true. I strongly believe that it's not a destination, and we know what makes a happy life. We know it. Science tells us. Just people tell us. We know what a happy life looks like. It's about connection. It's about being connected to yourself first, and it's about being connected to the people around you. Meaningful, authentic connections with people is what makes a good life. It extends your life. It's going to make you feel healthy, live longer. It's going to make you feel more content. It's going to make you feel. So we know what we need to do. Everything else is just context, really. These are the important things. Everything else is a landscape. So I think being aware of that is important. It's not something you understand maybe right away. Maybe you need to go through a number of challenges to come to that realization. But yeah, I know where I stand when it comes to choosing between my family and my work, or spending an extra hour refining a piece of design, and maybe going to pick up my son earlier from school. I don't know, something like that. It's I know where the long-term reward is, and I'm interested in the long-term reward. I'm not interested in short-term rewards.
Is that, I mean, you say you know it. Is that something that you've ever put on paper? Because essentially we're talking about values. Like,
I've never put it on paper, meaning like a list of values.
Yeah, it's just writing that I value family time as much or more than I value paid work, or something like that.
I've never put it on paper because I guess I don't have to. It's very clear. It's a bit like the British Constitution, it's unwritten. It's constantly evolving. I think, there are some fundamentals, of course, which are not changing in my life, and pretty much define my views, political views, personal views on life, on people and things. And then I guess there are other things that are maybe changing a little bit, but I'm going for the long-term rewards. I want to take a long-term vision over my life. Hopefully the world we live in, although that's really hard, because everything is against that long-term vision. all the actors involved around us really literally play against having long-term plans and long-term visions. It's all short-term. It's all, you're going to die tomorrow. It's all like, buy this, or you're or something tragic is going to happen. I don't know. But yeah, I prefer taking the long-term vision, which means having a regular partner, which means, you know, it really, you know, defines how you're going to approach your life, basically.
Yeah. It's cool, man. I really appreciate you sharing your insights and your views and chatting with us today.
Thank you so much. I hope it was helpful. You're going to cut this, right? You're going to edit it.
No, it's live, man. That's why we did it live. We're still live. Like, this is the whole reason.
People are watching right now.
Well, I mean, I can't guarantee that, but it is being streamed live.
It's available for people to watch if they want to watch.
Yeah, and it's live now. As soon as I hit stop.
No, you told me. For some reason, I thought you were going to record it and then to play it later, but no.
No, I do this so I don't have to edit. That's the whole reason. I hate editing. So hi, everybody. Thanks for being here live.
No, it's great. It's great. No, it was a pleasure. It was a pleasure being here. Thank you for inviting me. I hope it was helpful. It was definitely helpful for me and for my course. And as you know, I need to do a video about this now. Did you do a video about your course?
I've done a poor man's version 1. Not happy with it yet.
Are you ever going to be happy?
No, but I think I can improve it. Like, I think there's some measure, like, you know.
Okay.
Happy enough.
Okay.
I'm going to do it again.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Yeah, I mean, if someone's feeling burnt out and they want to get in touch with you, how would they do that?
They can find me on LinkedIn. This is my name. Or they can find me at andreamontanari.com. That's my website. I would say yes, these two are probably the best ways to get in touch.
Excellent. Well, let's wrap it up there. Thanks.
Thank you so much.